Hello again. One thing I did forget to say in the last video is that next week we do still have to take attendance. So this is going to be the last actual assignment, sort of. But I am going to post something in like as an assignment that's really just going to be a check-in sort of thing. Just to make sure I can get you all marked for attendance next week because it's a 2-day week. It's really there for you to just turn in anything last minute or get anything finished that you haven't been able to. So just keep a lookout for that. So this last thing we're doing is adding and subtracting radicals. So the thing about adding and subtracting radicals is that it's kind of like adding and subtracting when you have variables. But the thing is you have to have the exact same index, so the same type of radical, and the same radicand, which is the same number on the inside. So you have to have the same kind of radical and the same number on the inside. So here, I don't have that. But I can break down that 8, and maybe I will. So I'm going to divide it by 2. And I get 4, 2, and 2. So, I'm going to circle my pair of 2s. And they are going to move to the outside, with the 3. And then the only thing I have left over is that 2 on the inside. So that becomes 6 radical 2. Then I'm just going to bring this guy down because he doesn't need to be broken apart. And don't forget to bring down your plus sign. So now that I have the same radical and the same number on the inside, I can just add the outside numbers. So negative 2 plus 6 is 4 radical 2. This is one of those things that, like, some people get it right away and some people are just like, what are you talking about? And it takes a while. So I've got 4 examples. Just you can see lots of different versions of it. And hopefully it starts to make a little sense. But it's just what we've been doing. You're just adding on that at the end, if they match, you add them, basically. But only add the outside numbers. Inside number stays exactly what it was, just like with variables. So here, anytime you have a number that you can break down, you want to break it down. So I can't break down the 5, but I can break down a 20. So that's 2 and 10, and then 2 and 5. Then I've got a pair of 2s. So the outside, don't forget about this number on the outside. People forget that sometimes. And then 3 times 2 on the outside and 5 on the inside. So my group of 2s went outside, my 5 stayed inside. So that becomes 6 radical 5. I can also break down this 12. So 2 and 6, 2 and 3. Oops. So I'm going to circle my 2s. So on the outside here, I've got a negative 3. And my 2s go on the outside, and then my leftover is a 3. So that becomes negative 6 radical 3. And then I'm just going to bring that guy down. 3 radical 5. And I'm going to add. Or bring down my plus sign, essentially. So here, these 2 match, but this one doesn't. So I can add the first 2 and get 9 radical 5. And then I'm just going to rewrite that minus 6 radical. Oops, I almost did radical. That's a little crazy. Anyway, so I'm just going to bring down that 6 radical 3 because it doesn't combine with anything. It's just going to stay how it is. So, sometimes your answers look like this, and that's fine. That's the simplest version of whatever this number is. If you typed it in a calculator, you would get some, decimal. You get a decimal, but remember, with irrational numbers, decimals are just approximations. This is actually, like, legit the number. So that's the simplest version of it. Aren't numbers weird? And by weird, I mean super cool and awesome. You all aren't able to disagree with me, so. I did not mean to put that negative there. We don't really have time to get into if there's a negative inside the radical. Hopefully next year when you review this, either in pre-cal or algebra 3, we'll talk whoever you have for a teacher, we'll talk about that. But anyway, so I'm just going to cross that out like that's not there because that was a mistake. Okay. So remember when I've got that little 3 inside, like the check mark part of the radical? That means that I am going to be looking for groups of 3 this time. So just a heads up. So anyway, this first one, I can't divide by 2, but I can divide by 3. So I know that it's probably pretty obvious, I can divide by 5. But I still recommend going in orders of 2s, 3s, 5s, and 7s just because it keeps you a lot more organized when you're looking for groups. So that's just a recommendation. It's your life. It's your work. But I highly recommend it because organization is helpful. So anyway, I can divide by 3 and I get 45, which I can divide by 3 and I get 15. And then I divide by 3 again and I get 5. And hey, look at there. There's 3 3s, all nicely in a row. Isn't that lovely? So I'm going to circle my 3s. And this -3 was already on the outside. And then I have a group of 3s that I write on the outside. And then this 5 goes back under the radical, which really I need a bigger check mark so I can put my little 3 back there. So that becomes -9 cube root of 5. Okay, number 2, or the second radical, whatever. Okay, I can divide by 2, so that would give me 54, which I can divide by 2, which would give me 27. Can't divide by 2 anymore, but guess what? I can divide by 3, which would give me 9, and then 2 more 3s. So, hey, look at that. I got 3 3s again. 3 3s. So this one on the outside, I'm going to bring down my -2, and then I have a group of 3s, so I'm going to move those to the outside, and then I have 2 leftover 2s, so those go back on the inside. So this one becomes -6 cube root of 4. Because I just multiplied that stuff together. Last one. 40. I was doing it in my head. Oh gosh. I miss actually teaching people. Teaching to a tablet is weird. Anyway. So divide by 2 again and I get 20. And then 2 and I get 10. And 2 and I get 5. And hey, I got 3 2s. And I can circle them because I need groups of 3. That worked out nicely. So I'm going to bring down my -3. And I've got a group of 2s, so I move those to the outside. And then my leftover is a 5. So now I've got -6 radical 5. Okay. So we're looking at these bottom 3. Now remember, I forgot my little cube. Okay. So I need the same kind of radical, which, hey, they're all cube roots. Cool. But I also need the same number on the inside. So that's going to be these 2 guys. Oops. Anyway, so I'm going to add the numbers on the outside. -9 plus -6 is -15. And then my cube root of 5 stays the same. And then this guy, I'm just going to write him again at the end. -6 cube root of 4. Because he doesn't match with anybody. So he's just going to stay how he is. And then you're done. Ta-da. Okay. Now this one's a little bit crazy because it's, a 5th root. Whoa. But one thing about this one, if you'll notice, these 2 match already. So I'm actually going to go ahead and add them together just to make my life a little simpler because I don't want to have to break down the same number twice. That just seems repetitive and like a waste of my time, basically. So I'm going to go ahead and make this 5 5th root of 160 and then just bring down my 2 5th root of 5. So now I'm going to break down this this 160. So I'm going to divide by 2. I'm going to divide by 2. Sorry. My cat's chasing my dog. And my dog looks so scared. My cat looks so mad. I wish I could take a video for you guys. Anyway. I'm sorry. Okay. I divided by 2 and I got 80. And then divide by 2 again and I get 40. Divide by 2 again and I get 20. I'm just going to keep on dividing by 2 until I can't divide by 2 anymore. So how many 2s did I end up with? Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, look at that. That's exactly how many I need for a group. That worked out nicely. Funny how that happens. Anyway, so my 5 from up here is going to stay on the outside. Then I have a 2, because it's 1 per group. Even though it's a group of 5, they equal 1 on the outside, because it's a 5th root. And then my leftover is that guy. So 5th root of 5, which is going to become, 10 5th root of 5. And then I'm just going to bring that guy down. So my plus 2 5th root of 5. That's the thing about these. I worry about people remembering to like bring things down, or like, oh, I totally forgot about that. Like you think you're done. But anyway, it is going to be 12 5th root of 5 because I can add those together because it's the same type of radical and the same number on the inside. Wow, that's so cool. So add the outside numbers. Inside number stays the same. Awesome. Anyway, I hope you guys have learned something during NTI. My goal was just to expose you to some stuff that you will for sure see later in math. So hopefully with it being the second time, you'll have seen it next year or whenever. It will be totally new and you'll at least sort of know what's going on. That was my goal. I don't know. Hopefully it happened. But I hope you guys have a great summer. I hope that next school year is as normal as possible. I hope they come up with a stupid vaccine for this stupid virus, because online school, I don't like it. I miss people. Anyway, I will talk to y'all next week. Don't forget to check in next week.